Item is the Pier A discussion.
Okay.
Before we go into that, I believe the members would like to go into exec.
Actually, no, this one we're okay. We'll do exec after.
Oh.
This one we can do. So Pier A, Gwen is going to take over. This is authorization to amend the contract with Stalco, an amendment to, who's the general contractor, an authorization to amend the contract with Lero, and authorization to amend the contract with ERA. And Gwen will just briefly go through the
There are certain site elements that are required to be designed and constructed in order to comply with the city's waterfront zoning ordinance. In addition, the design and construction of that plaza area is also subject to the review and approval of the Public Design Commission, and these elements are related to the obtaining of a temporary certificate of occupancy for the building. In March of 2010, the board approved an amendment to the H3 Hardy Collaboration Architecture contract to cover the design services associated with the Pier A Plaza. However, due to the number of the unforeseen conditions that we have encountered with respect to the building and the amount of time and attention that those have required from H3 requested, and we concurred that the authority should retain a different design team to complete the site design necessary for the waterfront zoning and the PDC approvals. So that we might keep the project moving, we requested that ERA provide a proposal for design of the plaza elements of the project through design development drawings, with the understanding that we will issue a new request for proposals for the services to take the project from construction drawings through construction administration. ERIC has submitted a proposal to perform these additional services for a total cost of $245,000. We expect that the current value of the contract with the authority previously provided to the President will be sufficient to take the project through completion with respect to the building. However, we do request authorization to increase the amount of the contract to cover the additional site plaza design components. So we're asking for an additional $245,000 in authority for that contract.
Questions? So was the plaza work included in H3's original contract?
No, the plaza work was not included in H3's original contract. Actually, the budget for the original project, there was always a realization that that was not going to be adequate to address the plaza as well as the building. But because of the connection between the approvals that are required from city planning and from the Public Design Commission for the building opening, we had done an amendment to the H3 contract in March of 2010 in order to cover those services.
So we haven't paid for them yet? We haven't paid H3?
No.
Had we put, I'm sorry.
Well, let's make a correction.
Well,
there were some initial very preliminary steps that they had taken that they have been paid for, but that didn't go minor.
And when it was amended, their contract was amended for how much? H3?
It was an additional $440,000, I believe.
So we're buying it for 200 less, basically.
Well, we're not buying the entirety because we're still
We're buying
going to
design
get
The one half of it, and then the other half will come later.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. And on the Lero, how many?
Items that we need the board to act on this morning. As you're all aware, in the course of the project, we've encountered a number of significant issues with the integrity of the building, which have in turn caused several construction delays. Consequently, we have a recommendation for the additional replacement of the additional roof sections. Stalco has presented a proposal for that work, and Stalco and Lero have negotiated a fee not to exceed $380,000 for that work. The current value of the Stalco contract is $16,098,000, and we are asking the board to approve an amendment to increase that amount by $380,000 to cover the additional roof work. The second component is for our construction manager, the Lero Group. We have previously received approval from the board for services for Lero through March 31st of 2012. Due to the construction delays that we previously referenced, we now need to have them remain on the job for an additional 9 months through December 31st of this year, and consequently we need to cover an additional 9 months worth of their services. Lero has presented a proposal for these services in the amount of $647,091.53. Approximately $125,000 of those total fees reflect construction acceleration costs. We have received the commitment of our contractors to compress some of the construction durations in order that we may be able to finish the construction by December 31st. This will include some compressed durations for some of the MEP work and structural work, requiring Lero to have a super in both disciplines on the site at the same time. In addition, there will be some weekend work that's done that Lero will need to cover. The current value of the Lero contract is $1,210,006, and we are asking for authorization to increase that value by $647,091.53.
This is about $70,000 a month for 9 months to keep them on board. And does that make sense to you, given the personnel?
Yes, it does, because we have, given the level of effort that we are going to be encountering to take this from now to completion, the addition of the second supervisor, the coverage of the weekend work that we're going to be doing over the remaining 8 months, then I think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And so before I ask whether any of these numbers have been negotiated, I assume Lero is going to be willing to continue on, since they're managing CMing this for us. They will be willing to continue beyond December 31st, even if the project isn't completed, correct?
They will be willing to continue now. Whether or not it depends on with the level of effort that we're going to require them after that.
Yeah, well, we're paying them a premium now for a level of effort to get us to December 31st. They should agree to get the job done by December 31st, or continue to provide construction management services after December 31st at no further cost. I mean, if they're managing all these subs and there's no issue with the subs being paid, and they're giving us a schedule for December 31st, and we're paying a premium for them to work on weekends or accelerated services, they should be willing to live with their schedule.
Right, and if it goes over, then
I will certainly discuss that with them and see if we can get that commitment from them up front.
Then the members are being requested. Do you want me to adjust those? Members are requested to authorize the execution of the following contract amendments. The first would be an amendment to the existing Stalco Pier A contract in order to increase the contract value by $380,000 from $16,098,58 to $16,478,000.58. The second item is an amendment to the existing Lero Pier A contract in order to increase the contract value by $647,091.53 from $1,210,006 to $1,857,097.53 pending. How do you want me to put this on the record?
Pending final resolution on their willingness to proceed beyond the December
Pending a
31st
negotiated completion date
at no additional cost.
And what do you do if they don't agree to
Probably say
this? How do we move this forward?
I'm sorry?
If they don't agree.
Yeah, I was gonna say condition upon an acceptable post-December, you might want to say an acceptable post-December 31 commitment and acceptable.
That's good.
Acceptable to the board.
I'm certain that they would want to have some limits.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I mean, I have no problem with all of us or any one of us getting on the phone with the principal and understanding what, I mean, 70,000 a month is a good number, 125 to expedite and be done on December 31st is great, but you have to be done on December 31st. You
Okay.
control, I believe they control all the parts. I don't think anything's out of their control.
We wouldn't
Yeah.
disagree with that.
Okay.
So we'll say acceptable, but
I
it has
wrote
to be reviewed by the board.
An acceptable negotiated completion date and no additional date to be reviewed by the board.
Do we want to just say that we're happy to designate Don as the
Yes.
guy
Do that.
who
That's fine.
works with you all to bring that to closure?
To be reviewed by the board as represented by Mr. Kaposha.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
To his satisfaction.
Okay, the last one.
Does the board still have to approve the action?
We could ratify it, Phil.
We
so
could.
it's for next-
Do you want to ratify it? I mean, you
It's
can't.
not a
If
matter
you're
of do we,
delegating
can
authority-
we?
I think if you're delegating authority to Mr. Capote to make the decision, then there's no further action required. But if you're delegating responsibility to Mr. Capote to make a recommendation to the board, then we have to come back to the board.
Okay.
If it's the former, then there's no further action required.
So we can delegate the authority to Mr. Kaposha
Yeah.
to make the decision.
Okay.
I think that's what we should do.
All right.
To move it forward.
And the last is an amendment to the existing ERA Pier A contract in order to increase the value of the contract by $245,000 from $550,000 to $795,000. Note that, as discussed, the value of this contract may be increased up to an additional $150,000 at the president's discretion pursuant to the board's April 24, 2012 resolution.
Okay, are there any other questions, comments? If none, motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. We're going
An
into,
exempt session.
right. Okay, the members would like to go into executive session to discuss matters of litigation, personnel, and other relevant matters.
Leases, we need a motion.
Leases.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.